Hey everybody, I have a wonderful special guest, Nikki.
It's me!
Yay! She is here to talk to us about building self-esteem and building a better body image. So let's get into it.
Cool. Hi, my name is Nikki. And I tell everyone it's a lifestyle channel. I feel like that sounds like makes a fancy version of what my channel is. But I just kind of make videos about anything and everything I want to make videos about. It's like morning routines, food. I do a lot of food videos, sometimes talking videos. We did a tea talk on my channel, and music. I do music videos too. So vlogs, kind of anything and everything.
There's all sorts of stuff. You can check it out. I'll put all the links in the description so you can hop over there because you have a ton of wonderful playlists and a lot of different things depending on your mood and what you feel like watching or even just listening to.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, some of my videos get long. That was the reference to that. So yeah, I got a lot of different things you could check out if you want to come over and join our little Phillippi fam.
And we did a video on her channel. You don't want to miss out on it. So I'll put the links in the description and push to at the end again. But yeah, hop over there. Check it out. It's very cool. But today we're here to talk about body image, self-esteem. I guess I'll just open with asking, are there certain things that you do on the regular or things you've done in the past to help with it?
Yeah, so I've talked about this a little bit on my channel. I used to struggle with an eating disorder for a couple of years. I grew up a dancer, so I feel like you're just more, not to like say this to the dance community, but when you're staring at your body in a mirror all the time, you're kind of
people are judging you on it.
Yes, you're like setting yourself up to potentially struggle with that sometimes. So I struggled with that for a few years, and it's amazing though being where I'm at now because it was so all-consuming when it was happening, and I thought like, man, this is going to be my whole life, and it's amazing coming out the other side, being like, I just do not even struggle with it the way that I used to at all. Like it doesn't even compare to it.
Recovery's possible.
Yes, that was the point of that, was I really thought this is going to be my whole life because it consumed my thinking literally all the time. And now it's not even hardly an issue. So the things that I've done though over the years that I feel like really helped with that, there were a couple of things. One of those is I really shifted my focus and a genuine shift to caring about the health of my body as opposed to the look of my body, because there was a point there for a few years where it was like I just cared about how I looked and that was it, and I didn't really grasp the correlation between the food I was putting in my body, the sleep I was getting, just taking care of myself.
I love that though. I love like breaking it down and saying it's not just about how I look, because we get so caught up in that, especially like being online or looking at Instagram all the time. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I think it's really great to think about the health of our body and how we feel.
Yeah.
Like I used to tell my clients, like, don't weigh yourself. Notice how you feel. And fat is not a feeling, by the way.
By the way. Yeah.
But yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. And the second one was what you said. I stopped weighing myself. I was just like, I really don't need to weigh myself. I don't need to know. So those were probably the two biggest things. But the health thing was really it.
Yeah.
I just stopped caring as much about my look. It was like, I'm just going to take care of myself. And wherever I'm supposed to sit is where I'm going to sit, and that's it. Because after years of torturing myself and not getting the result that I thought I wanted, really it was just my vision was so morphed anyways. I couldn't have gotten what I wanted. It wasn't there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's what really helped.
No, I love that's great advice. And I think something that's important and something that I even as a non-eating disorder based person, just as a woman, as a person who's aware of what I look like, I notice that if I weigh myself, if I feel good, I'm like, I'm feeling good today. And I weigh myself, if I weighed it regularly and I'd been up X number of pounds or whatever, then I might feel crappy.
Yes.
And it might make my whole day turn to shit. And so instead of letting that happen to me, I don't weigh myself, because let's just be honest. Let's get real for just a second. When would you need to know what you weigh?
Yeah, 100%.
Why?
You don't.
You don't.
No, totally.
Never. So anyways, great advice.
Yeah,
I love it.
Thanks.
And something that I think that I've done, just to add in my 2 cents, that's helped me feel better about myself is having boundaries. And I know that sounds really crazy, but like, I find that sometimes because I am empathic, because I do care about people, I can get taken advantage of. And it's something I learned at a young age, that like it's important for me to know what I'll accept and what I won't accept, and where that boundary is, and being able to communicate it. And that's like the second.
It's awesome that you learned that so young. I feel like that's been a very recent thing for me to learn.
But it's like practice.
Yeah,
like realizing and then doing
it is different, yeah.
There's years in there of like,
Maybe I didn't set boundaries. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that that's something that more recently even I've been working on communicating it clearly so that it can be heard. Because before I would just like, have a boundary, but I'd be like, oh, can't do it. And I wouldn't talk about it and they wouldn't understand where I was coming from. And so I think there's like two parts to that. And it takes time. Like we're not perfect. I'm working on myself. And
I'm perfect.
She is.
Sorry,
it's
I
true.
didn't know if
It's true.
you guys all knew that. Wait, no, I'm confused though. Which boundaries are you talking about in relation to body image? What do you mean by that?
I think it's like building self-esteem.
Oh, just your self-esteem in general.
Like making me feel better overall. Because I find when I feel, and I'm glad you brought that up, because sometimes I don't make any sense.
No, it's good.
But like it's like confidence, overall confidence of feeling like I know what is best for me. I'm doing what's good for me.
Yeah.
And I expect other people to act that way as well.
Yeah.
Like I hold myself to this standard and I hold people in my life to that standard.
That is such an interesting point. I never made the connection between, it sounds so obvious too as you're saying it, like body image to confidence. That sounds so obvious.
No, but we think body's like, what do we see? What
Yes.
do we feel? But it comes from inside.
Yeah.
Truly.
And I've realized over the years, like as you're saying that, my brain's like flashing back to like all these years between having that issue and now. And I do feel like confidence has been a big part in that because I know now where I sit is not like before. The way I looked in a bikini at the pool, or the way I looked in my leotard or my whatever was so much more important. And now, and I guess the word is because of the confidence, I'm just like, whatever, like it's fine. I look good. Beauty comes in all different kinds of sizes, like whatever.
So along the lines, because I loved what you said about health and not weighing yourself, about how long, just out of curiosity, from when you decided, did you decide you wanted to get better?
Yes, I did. I decided. It was one specific event that happened. So I'd been struggling with anorexia. I wasn't eating for like extended periods of time. After all of the restriction, I started to make myself throw up, and my second time, maybe it was my third time in trying, it was like someone had smacked me in the face, and I was like what am I'm actually hurting myself. This isn't good. And it was from that point that also led into a conversation with my mom that I was like, I am so over this. Like this is not good. And I had read a couple of articles in between about the health effects too.
Yeah. I have a video about that.
Oh, you did? Yeah. It's serious. And I think getting your head around the effects of how it can really hurt your body, I think is a really good thing too. But yes, to answer your question, I decided, I was like, I need to fix this and get better.
How long did it take for you? And everyone's going to be different, but I always find it really helpful to know, like, when we are working on ourselves or working on our body image or trying to get over something.
Yeah. I would say that it was definitely a journey. It wasn't an overnight thing. It was an overnight thing in terms of like I decided I wasn't going to restrict that way. But in terms of my thoughts really making a transition, it took a couple of years. The real transition, to be honest, random, took place when I went vegetarian. And it was the first time that I ever got really into like nutritious food as opposed to food from a place of like, how much do I need to eat to stay thin?
Yeah,
it was just like
eating versus...
what do I like to eat and what's healthful for my body? So I actually call myself a fakeitarian now because I for the most part don't eat very much meat. Sometimes I eat it when I feel like it. But that period of finding a diet that was really around like healthful eating, it allowed me to explore food in a different way that, like you just said, wasn't so restrictive or negative. It was more about like bountiful, like I can and should eat as much of this color as I want.
Yeah.
And it really helped shift that. And for some reason, somewhere along that process, I just stopped caring as much about my body size and shape and everything.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think that's part of like what I've always talked to you guys about is like the intuitive eating workbook is a great tool to use if you're pretty far along in your recovery, or you can work with your dietitian one-on-one with it. But I think it's more about like listening to your body, because oddly enough, our body will crave brownies, and then it will just in the same day crave a salad or carrots or any number of things, because our body, if we listen, like children are the most intuitive eaters, and I love watching toddlers when they start eating like solid foods a lot, is they'll eat and smush it all in their face like they're loving it. It's so amazing. And they'll do the same with cake or sugar, but they won't have a ton of it. And then they don't want it anymore. And so they'll walk away and they'll leave like half of their food there. And the mom will be like, are you done or whatever? And they're like, yeah, no more.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, because they listen. And we get so busy, or we get so anxious, or we get so overwhelmed, or we're so worried about what we look like that we stop listening. Yeah. And I think it's cool to like turn it, instead of worrying about how many calories or whatever, or energy units, as we call them in the eating disorder treatment realm.
Gotcha.
However many energy units something has, we can think instead, like, do I want more? Does my body want it? Does it sound good? Do I like it?
That's why I'm a fakeitarian. Because sometimes I do want meat, and I see it as a sign. If I naturally am someone that doesn't really like meat, for the most part, but then I occasionally really want it. Yeah. To me, I'm like, that's weird. I see that as my body wanting something.
It might need iron, or it might need some kind of vitamin that it gets only from that. Yeah. And another thing that I do actually to build a better body image for myself, I just love that, like, alliteration, build a better body.
Yeah, I like that. Build a better body image.
Say it 5 times fast.
Build a better body image, build a better body image, I can't, I'm already off. Okay. Go on.
But I find something that this took me a long time, and this is something I only realized, remember, if any of you follow me along on Snapchat, you know that I did that whole clean out, which we talked about. We bonded over the clean out.
The life-changing magic clean out.
It is life-changing. I realized that I kept clothes that don't fit me well.
Yes.
And so then I feel like shit when I wear them. Mm-hmm. Ding, ding. And as I was going through stuff, I'm like, this is a size too small. No wonder I don't like it. It cuts into my stomach. Or this is too loose here or too baggy here. I look like a pregnant lady. Mm-hmm. And I know that all sounds really ridiculous, but there's something about wearing clothes that you feel good in
100%
that can, like, change your mood. It is life-changing.
Yeah, it totally is.
And so I think that that's another thing. If you find yourself not feeling confident, like, are you dressing yourself in things that you actually like? And I'm not talking fancy. I'm not talking getting dressed up, putting makeup on, curling your hair. You know me. I'm not a girly girl that much. Yeah. It's more about how you feel. If you feel great in those sweatpants, you rock those sweatpants. I love leggings.
I love leggings so much. I have one too many pairs of leggings. And they're hanging in my closet like pants. Can we talk about that? Like, next to my pants.
They're pants.
Go on, though. They are, yeah.
That's fair. And Marie, or whatever her name is from our book, says to hang everything.
You know, so that's why I hang them. I'm following Marie's ways.
Exactly.
But you're totally right.
Yeah. So check out what's in your closet. Notice if you like what you're wearing or not. I think that's really, really life-changing.
I completely agree. I don't even have anything to add to that because I just agree with that. I guess the only other thing that I would say, like another tip, is get moving. I think that sometimes we can get so in our heads, and it's like, if you just get up and get some movement, some form of exercise, whatever it is for you. I'm actually about to do a fitness routine on my channel. Oh. And I've been doing them my entire time on YouTube. I love doing routine videos, but this is the first time in my 6 years of YouTube that I don't actually have like a typical fitness routine because my physical therapist took me off of all working out. I'm only dealing with injuries, but I'm doing it because I want to convey the message and the thought that you can just do what you can where you are. Yes. And that is my fitness routine right now. So for now, my fitness routine is my physical therapy and like walks. Yeah. Or maybe waiting in the jacuzzi at the pool or whatever. Yes, you know? But like some kind of movement, it gets you out of feeling like awkward in your body. It's like, what even is this? Mm-hmm. And if you just get some movement, you can tend to feel more comfortable in your own skin. Totally. Whatever that movement is.
And it can help us feel grateful for our body.
Yes.
Like, there's so many things that we can get down about, like, oh, I hate my stomach, my legs, my feet, my hand, whatever. Yeah. But then if it's serving us, yes, we can be grateful for the fact that our legs still work. I can still walk. I still have all 10 fingers. I can hear you. I can see you. Like, those are amazing gifts. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in, like, what it looks like or is supposed to look like, which that is never
What does that even mean?
What does that mean?
Exactly. I like the grateful element. That's a really good... I really like that. Yeah, and plus, everybody knows this, but you release endorphins when you work out. So it's like you just naturally start to feel like a little less stressed about things.
Exactly. And I think I like the idea of just doing whatever you can where you are, because I think that a lot of people think about exercise and feel like it has to be like, no pain, no gain.
Yes.
But truthfully, all we need is 30 minutes 3 times a week. That's all our heart needs. So for heart health, walking 30 minutes 3 times a week is plenty. Yeah. So don't feel like you have to get out there and, I don't know, do some cleans or whatever people do. Because you don't.
Yeah. And that's the reason I'm doing the video. I just thought, well, I'm done with fitness, like, on my channel, at least for now. And then I was like, wait a minute. But, like, and I would feel kind of depressed, too, because I used to be a full-on athlete. Yeah. So it was like, oh, this is it? And then I just kind of had that thought that we're talking about, like, some people, you have to do what you can where you are. So I need to kind of show that. I want to show that. Yeah. So, yeah, that's I think the biggest thing, doing what you can where you are.
Yeah, and I love that. And so leave in the comments, let us know, what do you do to feel better about yourself? Let's like share in our tips and tricks, because they'll be helpful for Nikki and I, and it'll also be helpful for other people who are watching who maybe the things that we said don't quite resonate with. But we're a community. We're working together, right, towards a healthy mind and a healthy body.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Nikki, for being on.
Thank you for having me on your channel.
Oh, of course.
She's awesome.
And like I said, we did a video over on her channel, so don't forget to check that out. And I'll put all the links to her stuff in the description, because like I said, I really love her channel. And there's so many various things you can get into and watch on a playlist, like depending on your mood. I really like it.
Thanks, Katie.
Of course. And she has an amazing voice, by the way. So
oh, thanks.
and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.